Hi all, this is Jax
and Jessica,
and we're here just to chat a little bit about some of the themes that we've seen coming up over the past few days or so. We both found ourselves reflecting on grief and growth, particularly in regards to the shifting of one's identity and where that shows up for us all in our lives. So for me, it was kind of understanding that it's okay to be in that in-between space before we know exactly where we're landing, before we know exactly who we are becoming or how everything's working out for us, to find some sense of peace amidst all the change around us, because we know that change is the only constant.
Yeah, and I feel for me it was reflecting on, who am I now, right? And what has that required? What kind of loss? And reminding me a little bit of like ego deaths, right? Because maybe I've worked hard to be who I am today, and when that changes or those identities get stripped away, whether it's in our control or not, it kind of makes you take a seat back and say, what am I attached to, or what version of myself am I attached to? Also, identity means sameness. So subconsciously, we're always looking for what's familiar, right? And we get comfortable in that sameness, or we can. And so whether change is intentional or not, it's going to happen. And so who am I when I'm going through those changes as well? How attached am I? How willing am I to go through that loss, right? So that I can change and grow. And can I focus on the growth rather than the loss or the grief? Or can I go through the grief with grace, right. with love and with compassion for self? And sometimes it's, we go through that change and that grief with sadness and anger and maybe anxiety or whatever the case, yet, that's the purpose of maybe a message like this. Like if you are going through changes like that, or maybe you're reflecting on times you have, maybe you're a new mom like some of us, where it's like a big identity change, and you always want to be the best version of yourself. You want your highest self to be embodied. And so what does that take? What kind of ego deaths must we go through in order to get to that best version?
Right. Yeah, let's be sure to not pressure ourselves or feel that unspoken and sometimes spoken pressure of society for sameness, to allow for ourselves to go through, feel what we need to feel, and move into whatever direction our soul is pulling us into. That can sometimes look very unfamiliar. It can look like it doesn't make sense to the world outside, and that's okay too.
Or chaos,
absolutely.
Chaos. That's where order comes from.
100%. Particularly this month, August, is feeling a lot like allowing for the chaos to happen. It's a time of overgrowth. It's a time of like massive abundance in terms of like our environment, and so we're reflections of that too, like letting ourselves be our most wildest version, feel into everything that we're meant to feel into, experience what we're meant to experience, the good, the bad, the ugly, have it all, and then we'll make sense of it gradually, gracefully, as time allows for, as divine order allows for.
So today's healing message is to love all those parts of you, all the parts that you worked hard to become, and allow for that change to release, to let go of identities that no longer serve you, or maybe you're moving on, you're growing. Yeah. And so loving all those parts of you that are growing.
100%.